Welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Well, I'm Lindsay from Smartcat. I'll be helping to keep us on track today. A quick mention before we jump in. This is meant to feel more like a roundtable than a webinar. You're in a room with people facing a lot of the same challenges, and that's the real value here. So please jump in freely, come off mute, share what's working, use the chat, and push back if something doesn't match your experience. The best version of this session happens when we're talking with each other, not just listening to a presentation. So you'll notice that this group spans L&D, enablement, and marketing, and that's intentional. I'm joined today by my colleagues. Azat is one of our forward deployed engineers. He spent his career in L&D before joining SmartCat, so he has genuinely lived in your world. Claire is our director of customer marketing. She's led global campaigns at enterprise companies for more than a decade and works with the global content teams every day. And Nadia is one of our customer onboarding and enablement specialists, so she'll be helping respond to questions in our chat. So, our bet is that we're all wrestling with the version of the same problem, and there's real value in hearing how it looks from other seats at the table. So, we've got about 25 minutes. We want to make it count. And we really want to think through three things. So, right now, we mostly want to hear from you the reality that everyone in global content is feeling right now. How do we do more with less without slowing down? Where it shows up hardest for your function. And finally, what it actually costs when content can't keep up and how you are each handling it. So, we'll start with something we all have in common the same underlying pressure that is just showing up differently depending on where you sit. Azat, you've been on both sides of this, so I'll kick it to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. I'm Azad, and today I wanted to share my experience. So, I work with multiple L&D teams across the globe. They have different goals, they have different processes, but they have one challenge, and the challenge is to do more with less. So, the teams are not growing, and budgets are flat. But the demand is growing, so they need to produce more content, they need to translate it to more languages. And I have a question for you. Who has the same challenge? Who needs to who has more languages compared to the previous year? Please go off mute and share your experience.
And while we're waiting for people to warm up, I'd definitely love to hear some thoughts. I'm really curious to see what people say because I think oftentimes it's this, there's two camps. One is you're either like grappling with, I need to figure out how to get my content out into more and more languages and markets, and or it's like maybe it's not more languages, not more markets. It's more about like, I just need to stay relevant and present and compliant in the markets that I'm already in. But things are changing so drastically that like that's the name of the game right now. So let's hear it. How many languages are you grappling with? How many do you want to be in that you're not in right now? Who would love to share? We'd love to hear from you.
I'll share. I'm a training manager in a production environment, and we have up to 8 languages here. Four main ones: English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Khmer, Somali, quite a bit. We have some Russian, Bosnian, Thai. I mean, if I had to state our business problem, I'd say our infrastructure has not kept up with our hiring practices, thus creating safety, quality, turnover, retention, training issues. I mean, you think about SWIs, training documents, signage, you name it. We've got a mountain of work to do.
And what is the biggest bottleneck in your process today? And how do you handle it?
Um, I would say lack of standard work instructions that support all languages. I mean, we have a tool called Pro Planner that is on some of our production processes that, is visual and you can change the languages on the program, but we've only got it in a portion of our business right now, and it's a big capital investment to get it everywhere. And it's just that's our biggest issue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Uh, is there anyone else who can share their experience and challenges right now? So from my experience, and actually I had a call yesterday. So like one of our clients mentioned that they need to translate into two new languages this year. And again, like they don't have a green light to hire more people, and they have the same budget. And also they mentioned that it's actually was not a customer, it was a prospect. And also they mentioned that in their current workflow, each language cycle can add month or two to roll out. So onboarding, compliance, and product training all slip. Uh, so and like, what is like in your experience? How long does it take to translate content uh, to all of the languages that you need?
Right, we've got a couple weeks. Yeah, yeah, that's what we I feel like that's what we tend to see when you're dealing with a handful of markets. That's I think the typical when you're dealing with dozens, maybe that turns into months. And then when you start to see curveballs in your you know, in your content, oh, got to update this, got to update that, then, that quickly snowballs into a little bit of chaos. So we've got a couple weeks for Ruth. Anybody else who's doing it, I'm sure we have people who maybe aren't doing it today that are trying to, get the lay of the land and figure it out. But anybody else who's got kind of a benchmark today of how long it's taking them to go from having a need to create or update content and then getting it out either to their employees or their customers or prospects. Okay. Our chat's lighting up. Does anybody want to come off mute and share a little bit? That's where I know you'll learn a little bit from Azat and I, but I think you'll learn a lot more from each other. Yeah. Okay. So 8 and 9 languages in the chat. Oh, yep. Go ahead.
Yes, I don't know if I can here speak if I have hijacked somebody else. I don't know. Okay, all good. Thank you. I have tried it. The first time that I have tried Smartcat was with a Word document. So I was really impressed how easily I can translate things into a Word document. Into several languages. The next question that came was we have some videos, and at least I was not able to figure out myself how I can select the voice that is going to is going to be the one that is translating the initial video because if I would do it, let's say per default, then it would be a male voice, but actually the person that was presenting was a female, right? So this is something that it took me a while to understand where to find, and I don't have still the answer. But
Uh,
it seems to be I mean, apart from that, it seems to be a very straightforward process.
there is an option on the right hand side to select a different voice. So there is a library of courses, like we have almost 100 different voices that you can select from.
Can
And
it be that I'm not entitled to have these voiceovers? Can it be that I don't have the full package? No, right?
no,
So
no,
I
no.
should have it. Okay,
Yes.
then. Okay, that sounds good.
Yes, and you can reach out to one of the FDs that you're working with, and they will guide you through it.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Great. And it's great to hear that things are otherwise going kind of quickly and thanks for coming with your questions too, Anastasia.
Very good, very good. Maybe another comment. I mean, for me, it's really straightforward. I was really impressed. The fact that when we upload something to be translated, then we can download it as a not an Excel file, but CSV, a CSV. So we need to make sure that everything is put into place once we download it, because this would help us when we give it over to an agency, right? What the agency normally expects from us is to give them an Excel file. And once we give them the Excel file, they can put the translations right back to it, and they can do the updating of the asset. That would be maybe another point that I would like to bring up.
And what is the like content type that you're translating? Just
So,
out of curiosity.
for instance, I was trying to translate a PDF file, right?
Hmm.
So I'm doing the translation process. I select the languages and everything, and then everything is downloaded and everything. So I can download it into a CSV file. But I did not find a very smart way to do it in an Excel file so that I can send it right back to my agency and say, okay, these are all the translations in an Excel file. Now you put them back into the file so I have it all at once.
Hmm. Yes, I think we can have a meeting and we'll just guide you through it through the all of the capabilities of PDF translation workflow.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that we've done there lately because I know, I mean, we're all in enablement, we're all in marketing, L&D, we all come from different walks. Those PDFs, all those different content types, that's where one of the main pains shows up. I think all of us can relate to that. We all deal with that content type among many others. Um, so it sounds like among this group, we've got some that have figured out different ways to scale content, some that are still figuring it out. And one thing that we wanted to chat on here really quickly is where is this pressure coming from? Whatever you're doing today that's not working, like why are you here? Why are you trying to find a different way? What's changing in your world that's making you want to do something differently? Like I know for me, we're launching a ton more products and features than we used to because, we're building with AI, so we can do that quickly. So me in marketing, I need to figure out a way to downstream launch those products more quickly in different markets. But I would love to hear what the pressures are in your world that are making your content workflows need to speed up across different markets. Because I think that those are the kind of things that help determine, what the problem is and then what the solution is. And then I think we all want to talk about, okay, what's the solution? So we can all walk away with learning something. Azah, I don't know if you have any thoughts from like the customers you work with, like you work with a lot of life sciences customers. They deal with regulations on a regular basis. that might be, I know I hear that one a lot in terms of what's causing them to have to be like, oh, I need to change my workflow. I need something that's going to move faster than what I'm doing today.
Yeah, and life sciences, they also update content pretty often, so which also adds additional translation stages, and essentially it leads to the fact that teams are overloaded and they need to find a better way how to handle this process. So yeah, uh,
Yeah, I mean, what are some of the main changes that you've seen some of those customers make that's actually made a material difference in their output?
uh, the main change that I see right now is everyone is trying to use AI. But essentially, like ChatGPT or Claude is not scalable and you cannot use it across the team. You cannot invite someone to review your content to help you with the updates with translation. So it's probably the main blocker for them right now. That's what I see.
Mm,
And also, for example, if we're talking about L&D files are so complex, like SCORM files or storyline files. And right now, teams they need to handle everything separately, like images, videos. And imagine if you're translating one SCORM file that has 10 images and 10 videos inside, and you need to translate it into 10 different languages. Essentially, your one translation cycle multiplies by 30 by the number of assets that you have inside. So
I can relate with that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I'm definitely seeing like, different comments from people about different content types and like the challenges related to that. You know, videos, PDFs, when you're having to scale your content globally, it's not just, I'm doing this one thing, I need to get this one piece out in one format. Like, no, we actually surveyed 200 enablement, L&D, and marketing leaders across life science, manufacturing, and retail earlier this year, just to say, like, hey, what are your challenges and what are you doing to like basically this very conversation to scale your content globally in a way that actually doesn't break, that stays consistent, stays high quality, stays compliant if you're in a highly regulated industry. And what we found that what the contributing factors to complexity were for the marketers was definitely the increase in content types and channels. So, you've got to get everything that you need, all of your assets onto all these different channels with that all have like different specs and different tone. For the enablement professionals, they were basically saying, I'm training and trying to reach people in all these different capacities. Like Adam, I know you mentioned you're in construction and in that space, you're trying to put things in on signage, you're trying to put things in different areas. Like all of that requires different formats. You're training people that are in different generations. Those require different formats. So basically, that compounds into tons and tons of different files and different outputs that need to be delivered in short order. So that's I think like where the challenge came from, and what we found with in that study with the basically the teams that were reporting like the greatest success, the highest levels of AI ROI, and these weren't Smartcat customers or anything, was essentially that they were most likely to have connected tech stacks. So their systems were integrated. They essentially took the time to make sure that they had workflows that, like, hey, if we're constantly pushing campaigns across that we're designing in Canva and then pushing out to email and Facebook or Meta, for example. We're going to create processes where that's just happening in a somewhat automated fashion. That would be an example. So that was one attribute. They actually did report being 7 times more likely to have AI-powered localization, and that they had put some automation into place for compliance as well, meaning that they were avoiding things like manually reviewing statements that compliance had already reviewed. So just thinking about, I think all of us are here looking for ways to solve the problem. Those are some of the ways that the teams that reported, like, hey, I've started to figure this out. That's what they've started to do. I'd love to hear, anybody on the call who's really started to say, like, hey, I'm starting to see success in this area with global content scaling. Like, what are you doing? We'd love to hear from you. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see an interesting note here. You've got one freelancer per market, and they all need to understand brand consistency. Um, and like you can only do so much. You can't you can't provide all the context in the world to each freelancer. That's easily visible inside a computer-aided translation tool. And so you need that human in the loop. And absolutely, I think that makes total sense. Things move quickly. They don't always have time to update the translation memories. Um, yeah, I think that's where the automation piece comes in of like, if you're making changes, you're making edits, like trying to find ways in which you don't need to go back and like manually code those edits. They're just remembered. You make a change as a human, those edits don't need to be made again. Azat, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, on how teams can scale and say like, hey, I'm making this change once in a market. Let's not have to make that again.
Yeah, and also it happens a lot with storyline translation, for example, because storyline again is a pretty complex file type. And what I've seen is uh like a lot of teams translating storyline using XLive, they translate it through DeepL or they hire an agency and then they upload XLive files back to storyline and they essentially publish it to Review 360 just to go through the final review stage. And it adds additional review cycle. And if you have freelancers, you need to pay them twice. And then essentially after Review 360, you need to manually adjust things in the languages that you don't speak that you don't speak. And I think it's a pretty common problem, and it's not just related to marketing, but also like L&D is struggling with the same kind of issue.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
Do you have any storyline users here on the call? Can you please share your experience, how you handle storyline translation?
Okay. We're getting close to time. If we have any questions that anybody would like to ask our team, Claire or Zot, we're open for that as well. But I think overall, I know from our end, what we're seeing is that we're all across the board being asked to do a lot more across more markets with the same team. And just that the things that break are the same, but still different depending on where you sit. So It's mostly about time for L&D, revenue for the enablement teams, brand and budget for marketing. So really the same root, different problems. Um, and really you're not alone in it. So that's going to be the core of why we want to run these conversations. But if you'd like to keep the conversation going, if you have more questions, there is more where this came from. We have a QR code here you can scan to sign up for an upcoming session, or if you need to book time directly with our team, whichever feels like the right next step. We will send this recording to everyone who registered and share a recap on LinkedIn. So drop a comment, connect with the people that are in this room. The conversation doesn't have to stop here. We really want to make this really an ongoing conversation. So thank you for those that did come off mute and helped make this a true conversation.